Welcome to the Investor Financing Podcast, where we interview real estate investors and lenders so you can learn all the secrets to getting your projects funded and scale your portfolio. Learn about fix and flip loans, BRRRR financing, rental, fix to rent, commercial, multifamily bridge loans, business loans, and so much more. And now, your host, Beau Eckstein.
Hey, hello, and hello, America. All right, how you doing, Beau? Boy,
I'm doing well, and I'm excited for today's show. It's just you and I today, and we're going to talk about emerging trends in real estate and business. And after just diving in and listening to a lot of people I trust and kind of believe in, I think there's going to be, right now we're seeing something, and I don't think most people realize what we're seeing, but there's a huge shift going on, right? We've got so many things happening. We've got 10,000 boomers retiring every day or turning 65 every day.
Yeah.
We have a retailer tsunami going on right now, right? Because all these old school retail J.C. Penney's of the world, right? They're going from 1,000 stores down to 500 stores. There's going to be a lot of commercial properties that are going to be repurposed, or we call it adaptive reuse, right? So you're seeing developers starting to buy old abandoned properties and then convert them into multifamily, convert them into mixed use properties. So I think that, it's important to kind of talk about like what's happening right now. And if you blink your eyes, you're going to miss it, right? Because it's all changing underneath us. I mean, just the way, I think before we went live, I was just telling you that e-commerce business was like a $1.2 trillion business. And this year it's going to be a $4.2 trillion business. Wow. So there's a huge shift happening, and I think it's part of our duty to share this with the world. And like, if you're not paying attention to what's going on, it's going to pass you by. And I've missed some opportunities in my life, and I think that it's important as a real estate investor to know what's going on in the world, know where people are moving to, right? Know where here's the Uhaul migration trends, top 25 cities where people are moving to. This was 2019. We got to pull an updated report, but this is all fascinating stuff. Where are people moving to? Florida, North Carolina, and actually the top, I think that out of the top 10 cities that people are moving to, like 5 or 6 of them were Florida cities, right? So It's very fascinating. Californians all over the news, you're seeing exodus from California, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to
hey, you went away, man. I mean, I'm
Texas.
still in the Bay Area. I live right here in Black Hawk, but it's exciting. Know what you're saying, Beau? It's going to be a great show. Everybody who is out there listening to us, please tell us where you're from, and also like us, subscribe to us, give comments so that we can bring some great pieces of news and upbeat trends, and also bring great guests. Also, you may suggest to us who would like to be on our show with some authority, then we can bring you on. Also, again, this is Vinny and Beau show, 9:30 Pacific live, which is going actually right simultaneously into YouTube channels, LinkedIn, Facebook groups simultaneously. And then we also package it in a podcast too, which will be in the Beau's channel right there on the YouTube, and a podcast, and also mine with the apartment syndication, which, Vinny Chopra, myself, and Beau, we are kind of, so I'm very excited, Beau. Very, take it away. Share with us some very exciting piece of news. Yeah.
So just, kind of high level, retailers closing doors and filing BKs. A lot of retailers, the kind of like the old platform of retailers, right? The brick and mortar. It's not all going to go away, but it's all transitioning, right? There's a lot of shifts happening. Also in the food industry, right? What's popular now is you're hearing about ghost kitchens, right? You're having these industrial type buildings, and there's 10 different operations, 10 different kitchens within this building. Yes. And then you got Uber, and there's huge dollars going behind these ghost kitchens, they're called, and it's happening in Silicon Valley. There's a lot of them happening, and so that's a fascinating trend. So we're seeing a lot of trends that I believe will be around, because people want convenience. Now that people are working from home more, there's probably going to be a big demand in a lot of your apartment facilities, right? Like where they want They want fast internet. They're going to be working from home.
Yeah.
Most of your properties are more for the business professional, right? They're more
Yes.
being A class properties, so they're
Yeah,
going to
now
demand. Yeah,
we are able to, Bob. I mean, before I bought C, C minus, C plus, B, and a lot of renovations. But you're right, with raising a lot of money now, I'm able to buy B, B plus, A minus properties, and also build brand new too. Like yeah, yeah.
yeah. So talk about a little bit about the silver tsunami, kind of what you guys have found, and there's such a shortage of assisted living facilities, and a lot of them. Can you talk about, like, the fundamentals of, like, why senior housing?
I would love to, Bo. What has happened is a demographical shift is happening. See, because we don't have too many babies born, right, in USA, across in the, also in Europe and things like that. Of course, it's the immigration, right, that brings the population higher and higher. USA, maybe this is a census year, right, 2020. So we're going to have some new statistics, but 360 million or so, right? Total population of USA. California, I remember 40 years back when I moved here, was 17.5 million. Now we are, what, 43 million or something like that. But now there is a demographical shift where people are leaving. Some of the engineers from Silicon Valley, I live in Blackhawk right here, but Silicon Valley, industrial, financial, again, there is a silver tsunami, as the word says, is that the baby boomers who were born in the in the 50s and so forth, 40, 43 onward, I think 65 years of age, they are hitting every midnight. 10,000 of our baby boomers are turning 65. What does that do? They're looking into retirements. They're looking into downsizing their homes. They're looking into getting into communities or apartment communities, independent living and senior living, we call them, or, acute, independent. And there is another term where they are into like communities, right?
Mhm.
Then there is assisted living, where sometime when they're in the 70s or so, that population is growing. So 10,000, we have about, I think, 64 million out of 360 million in the 65 plus, 6.7 million over 85 plus. And I think about, John just shared with me a statistic, like I think 9 million of us are in the 83 plus range. Yeah, 83. So 83 plus are around that age, Bo. That's if somebody does a slip and fall, at home, then, they have to, of course, take care, and the family gets together, or one of the loved one passes away, then the spouse, the degradation happens, right? I mean, they are losing that loved one. There is a void. So those people who are in the 83 to 85 and 200 years of age is the market that, myself and my partner, we are going after in the assisted living, not in the rehabs, not in the nursing homes where the deaths have been coming, but it's in that phase. But you're right, silver tsunami is here to stay. I mean, this 6.7 million 85 plus will be 20 million, 20 million in the next 30, 40 years. And this 8 point some million 83 plus is going to become like maybe 30 million. So there is a net shortage. That's the other thing we looked at this week in our show on Thursdays, by the way. If somebody would really like to catch the real essence on how to learn about senior living, by the way, myself and Imran and John, we do a show now, 9 a.m., 9 a.m. on Thursday morning Pacific. So we got two shows now. We got Thursday at 9 a.m., Bo. Then we got 9:30 on Friday, buddy, with you. I look forward to these two shows. And they will be also into podcast, into StreamYard, I mean, it's always, live shows which we broadcast. You could interact with us. You could ask us questions through texting and things like that. So Silver Tsunami is here to stay. We got to look into it, the demographical shifts. We got to look into the products. The companies have to change. Trillions of dollar will be spent in the accessories and housing and all the medical, things that will be happening with the seniors. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just reading too something that like Florida, which is kind of a mecca of retirement communities, retired housing communities, and just a lot of seniors that own houses there. So there's going to be a shift from them. They're going to have to sell their houses, right? Then there's going to be new buyers coming in and renovating those houses and putting in traditional buyers, and then they're shifting into assisted living facilities.
Yeah.
Right, because it's affordable and they get the care. It's all kind of done for them at these places. They get their meals,
Yeah.
and so kind of the niche what you guys are building. Your product is more focused for the upper middle class. You're not taking on a lot of like Medicaid and things, right? Because
Right.
there's
Right.
kind of like the lower economic assisted living facilities where it's subsidized by the government, right?
You don't know,
That's different.
actually, I would like to say, Bo, you're 100% right. I know the surveys we have done, right? Even the old, dingy, smelly, sorry, residential, smaller, assisted living, they are charging 3,800, 4,300, and we bring our luxury product at the same price, by the way. So actually, we are not in the 9,000 per month or 10,000 per month at all, but our residents, our seniors pay the same price what they are actually paying right now at the old. I just wanted to mention that because you mentioned upper middle class, right? I know a lot of friends over here in California. When I showed them the movie of what we are building, they said we need 10,000 minimum, 12,000 minimum people will have to pay per month here to get into a facility like you are building in Florida. But in Florida, when we are building, we are keeping in the alignment where average family that has been making like 47,000 a year or something. I know we did some demographical numbers. So that's where our product is well liked. We don't take Medicare, you're right, 100% on that. But we take 3 years of rents to be able to show that the seniors can live in the facility. We don't want them to go in and out. They fall in love with the caregivers, the lifestyle, the music, the piano. I mean, the whole, the movies, watching with their friends in the facility, spas, treatments, and all that stuff. So that.
And also what you're doing, which is interesting as I study the market more, is that you guys are delivering a single story product versus
Yes.
like 90% of all other assisted living facilities that are being built today. It seems like 90%. I don't know the number. But it seems like they're all multiple stories. So they're really trying to pack, so many heads in, where that's really not ideal for somebody. People that are transitioning into, a senior living facility, for say, they want to live a normal life, right? Like they
Yeah.
don't want to feel like they're moving into a hospital, right? Like, and so I love what you guys are doing with that aspect of it, and I think that's a big separation factor of what you're building versus the
Oh, thank
competition.
you. Thank you, Bo. You're so right. I mean, we take like at least 7.5 acres of land and build one story with 4 or 6 courtyards. So we love to have these courtyards with the pavements inside are wider so that 2 wheelchairs can go on the same pavements. And then there are waterfall functions, putting green in some courtyards. There is a swimming pool, and we want to give the feeling to our residents as if they're living in a very nice unit. Multifamily, of course, it's multifamily. Their unit can even open the door out in the courtyard, and we give them space to even plant their vegetables and flowers so that they're kind of having a unique experience when they're in the 85 to, because see, this assisted living is their last time that they're going to be really living their life for 3, 4, 5 years. Bless their heart. If they go to Alzheimer or memory care, we build that also. So a portion of the 92 units, we build about 20 units as memory care, and the rest 72 units are independent and assisted living. That's how we do it.
And that's like probably a really, obviously it's tested with your business partner being in the industry for so many years that it's kind of a good unit mix, right? Because there's going to be a certain amount of those people that go in as independent, and then
Yeah,
they kind of progress, and then they don't have, then their family members don't have to, because that's stressful on the family. I think
very big,
this,
very big.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So one thing is the family. I mean, the family members come and they visit the property, or they go online, they see the videos, they see what the product looks like, and then they come and meet, the facility managers, and see how the staff interacts with the residents, right? And so
Yep.
that's a big determining factor, because I think, I haven't been put in this position, but at some point in my life, when my parents get of age, right, I know it's going to be very stressful for me to say, okay, well, I might not be able to be around to give them the care they need and have like entertainment going on for them. So maybe I need to find something like that. And I think that's the common conversation, is probably it starts with the kids that are looking for their parents. They
Yeah.
they go online, they probably do a search. Okay, we want them to be in this market because we're close. And like,
Yep.
what options do we have? We have, there's 3 communities in this in a 20-mile radius from our home.
Sure.
And now we got to go in and figure out, based on the amount we can spend, where's
Yeah.
the best value, and where is my mom or dad going to enjoy. And that's
So true.
why you guys have been successful, is because you guys are the solution, because they come to your residence, and it's as much as home as it could be, much like
Yeah.
as home feeling as it could be, which is why I really like what you guys are doing. I think that's, if I had to break down the competitive advantage, from a business perspective, that's your competitive advantage, is that you're competitively priced against older
Yeah.
properties, your single story,
Yeah.
and obviously the care for the seniors is top notch. So that makes a lot of sense. Now let's move on to another asset class which you're heavily involved in. Actually, you're kind of known for this, is multifamily. Now, in multifamily, the beginning of COVID, people were really worried about getting rents, right? And I think what we're seeing is that rents have been been very strong. I mean, there's been obviously a little bit of late pays and so forth, and evictions, but not nearly as bad as people thought. And so, kind of, can you talk about your communities and what you're seeing, and then your expectations going forward?
I would love to, Bo. This is very exciting what you just mentioned. I know when COVID hit and they said no moratorium on evictions and things like that. And, the C class, C minus, we don't have any of those now. We have like B minus or C plus communities. But before, or other people who have had those where the blue collar worker was involved and they were in the retail industry or restaurants or a small business or things like that, and some other, places, they lost the job due to the COVID. That hurt. But I was so surprised that in the upper middle class and the white collar, like with the tech jobs and things like that, there was not much shift at all. Like our property in Melbourne, Florida, we bought for 35 million, 98% collection of rents during COVID, 98%, almost zero delinquency and no concessions and things like that. So several of our properties have done well, and then as the moratorium lifted in certain states, like we have in Texas, Georgia, and Florida, our portfolio right now, we were able to evict some people, rightly so. But then we also worked with the residents. That's the key, to be empathetic, sympathetic, and share with them how we could help them to get the local funding from the government and all. We shared with them all the avenues they could get the money, local businesses, churches, things like that. Our community managers, very passionate people. We are vertically integrated, so Monica and me, we were able to start right away when the COVID happened back in, February, March, to start educating our whole staff how we want our Monil to be projecting and to be really, really considerate, and then figure out a way so that we don't have mass exodus at the properties and don't have too much delinquencies. So, we have weathered the storm, let's say that, and now we are finding our occupancies are going higher. I mean, we are getting eight leases in 1 week. Last week in our Monica Villa, we got 15 leases. 15. I mean, some people were able to skip, and then some were able to, get evicted. But then other new people, came in and so on. But we work with, with all our passion that we want to help our residents. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And as far as acquisitions right now,
Mm-hmm.
I know you sometimes have partners that you partner with on these large multifamily acquisitions, and they're at this point they're kind of out there finding deals for you, and then you're coming in and bring in the equity and some of the kind of high level management. So
yeah, no, I was going to say, I'm so glad you mentioned it. The deal that we just closed about a month back, let's say about a month back in Austin, the reason my brain works as an engineer, I'm an engineer, logic mind, just I make a decision and that's it. I'm going to set my mind to it. So when we bought Melbourne and when it happened, COVID happened, and our engineers at that property, we were collecting 98%. I said, oh my gosh, we got to go to the next place where there are a lot of tech jobs. And I knew that when the Google announced and Apple announced over here in the Silicon Valley next door to us, as you know, I live in Danville, that it just registered me. Then where are they going? Tesla is going to Austin, Amazon and Apple already went there, $5 billion, $50 billion project, whatever. Terra Factory, Tesla, 2 places buying 10,000 acres of land. So I read a lot. I like to be a cutting edge in seeing the trends and everything. Then I told my team, hey, we're going to Austin. We're going to Austin. So just by doing that, we were able to unveil 7 properties within 1 week. And then with the grace of God, the broker who was listing the property we bought, by the way, a month back, he dealt with me 9 years back. Hold on. Michael Wadla, thank you, Michael, buddy, and he says, Vinny, you were the easiest buyer. You were just so good to work with. I said, you remember me from 9 years back? Because I bought 7 properties around Austin, in San Antonio, in Seguin, San Marcos, all that, right? So it's good to treat people right. I mean, that's the universal law, right? He was able to maneuver this whole thing. 15 very established companies or syndicators or group funds wanted to buy the same deal, Lakes at Renaissance. And how come Vinny, Monil, and JT were able to buy it? Because of relationships, so that helps a lot. And we are so happy. We have taken the ground running. The residents are so happy. They're coming in because the seller actually stopped taking care of the work orders. Hold on. And they closed the doors during COVID. And hi, Jennifer, how are you? Great prices. On what?
I think she's talking about Texas.
Oh yeah, great prices for sure, Jennifer. We paid $34,750,000, by the way, which is pretty good price. We put about $750 hard, when we signed the contract and everything. We do those kind of things. Yeah, please share some ideas, Beau. As people are asking us questions. So the exciting part is we are vertically integrated, but we hired a company, local company. And in my team, we have now Dustin, who's got construction background. He's partner in the business. So we are getting bids like crazy for the renovations, the parking lot, and the renovation of the, residence center. We're going to bring media centers. And hi there, great price on the assisted living. Thank you. Yeah, Jennifer. I mean, we are not in residential assisted living, by the way. We are in family assisted living. So we are building about 62 units, 72 units, 78 units, 92 units, kind of like that. Not 200 units, not 300. We just don't like going vertically like second floor, third floor. We believe that 80 years of age, if my dad and mom were they alive, I don't want them to chase through the, elevators and all that. And that's what COVID happened, and that just told us even better in our thinking, because we want to give the experience to our, seniors as the best dignified life, as their later years in life, right? So thank you, Jennifer,
Yeah.
for sharing that. So you're right, Beau. There is so much happening, and we need to open up our eyes. We need to really open up our eyes, because great opportunities are coming on the horizon. I just did 7 interviews yesterday for my podcast, right? We do them all, bunch of them, and then they come out later on. But the exciting part was the common thread is there'll be a lot of multifamily mom and pop, maybe 50 units, 40 units, 60 units, 70 units will be coming out at discount in 2021. I really believe that. Even 2022, some foreclosures might be happening, because there's a lot of toxicity on the rent roll, I say, because a lot of the not a lot, but quite a few residents have accumulated these negative amounts, right? Delinquency, we call it, which will have to wipe it out clean when the moratorium lifts off, which is going to be in December, hopefully, or maybe after the election. We don't know, but the thing is, you got to be ready with the money. That's what I tell my students in my academy. That's what I'm telling everybody. I'm telling my investors, get your money ready, millions of dollars, because we'll be buying so much real estate in 2021. And we'll be building also assisted living close to almost maybe 100 million or 200 million, that one too.
Yeah, that's great. Great info. I mean, I've been getting a lot of calls lately from people, and it's just interesting. Well, first of all, I want to touch on a lot of the people I know from California that are, I would consider them pretty successful. They're most of them are highly successful. I mean, I would consider them highly successful, and a lot of them are. It's a big trend that I'm seeing them move to Austin, and
Yeah.
it's from California. And then it was interesting. I had a conversation with my friend that used to work at Fremont Bank. You met him, Stephen Gill.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
and he called me yesterday. He last time I talked to him, he was thinking about moving to Texas. He just moved to Plano, Texas. Says
Oh
says,
wow.
says it's absolutely booming there too, and it's a big. So I'm getting a lot of calls. The other thing I'm getting calls for right now, which I think is very interesting, is a lot of people right now are in a transition in their life, and for some reason they find me and they ask me like what I got a call the other day, and the lady has some equity and has some rental properties, right? And she's just like I would say an entry level investor, but
Uh-huh.
she's got equity now, and she says, I really don't want to have to go back to work. I want to figure out how I could take these free and clear properties that I do own and maybe leverage them and go buy some small multifamilies or some additional rental properties. So I find myself giving people advice all the time on that. And same thing with Steve Gill. He was asking me questions. He's like, well, because his background's being a banker, but he would rather start his own business now. So I think
Yeah.
going back to trends. You're seeing
Yes.
a lot of people that are wanting to, and that was there we go. There,
No, I'm going to talk
hi.
about. Hi
Yeah,
there. Hi, Kristen.
that's
That was
Kristen. I talked to
me.
Kristen
Hi,
yesterday.
Kristen.
So
How are you?
so these emerging trends are happening all the time, and like with here example with Steven, he has a ton of equity in a property in California, and he
Yeah.
says, I owe this much, and I have a couple $100,000 of equity in the property. It's a single family residence.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, okay, well, if you're making $1,000 of net income from that money, which isn't that much for having that much stored, right? Why don't
Yeah.
you take that and buy yourself a multifamily property, right? Like
Yeah.
you could take that 200 grand or 300 grand and put it down on a $1.2 million property, right? Now you can own 10 doors in Texas that pays you 4 grand a month net. Okay.
Yeah.
That's like a simple shift that that you should be looking at doing, because when it comes down to it, like, don't you want to get the highest cash flow you can with the least headache? And if you could get that property managed, that 10 unit property managed, so it's not going to be any more difference. The other trend that's happening is that people are starting to want to invest out of state more than ever. I'm speaking of like California investors, and so what do you need to invest out of state? And I always tell people the most important thing is not so much location, although buying in an emerging market is good, is that you really need good management. Okay, if you're going to buy a property, it first starts with good management, because that's really the headache of everything. Is if you're like I own several doors in Indiana, and the
Yeah.
problem with single family properties is that when one goes vacant, I'm not getting money for until that property turns. And sometimes it doesn't turn for 2 or 3 months. I just lost
Yes.
$3,000 of income, right?
Hmm.
Versus if you own like for example, a fourplex, if somebody moves out, it still
Yeah.
cash flows, right? So,
Three, yeah.
you-
Three people are
yeah,
paying. Exactly.
but
Exactly.
but kind of buying smaller multifamilies, I think sometimes can be a pitfall if you don't look for the right things. Like if you have shared utilities on a fourplex and you're paying the utilities, that's probably not the best way. I always tell people, if you're buying multifamily small, make sure there's shared utilities, or that you can easily, put separate meters on, because that sometimes is painful in the
No, no,
smaller
no, you could
multifamily
do the
properties.
RUB system, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we do, Bo, in our multifamily 200 units, 300 units. It's called RUB system, ratio utilities bill back system, right? So you could have a set example with the fourplex, sixplex, tenplex, where you share the bill with the residents, right? And then you say, okay, you are so much square feet is, maybe if they're all same square feet, same number of household people are living, then you could kind of prorate it, I call it, right? That way when they pay the rent, they also pay that utility bill portion. We have like water, electricity, trash, gas, electricity, like that. So you could do it. So no, that's very, very exciting. But I do want to say something else also, which is on my mind. We've been managing our assets, Bo, right, for last 14 years, and done well, everything. It was a good profit maker for us also, for our family. But the thing is, as you sell portfolios, as you get into bigger and bigger, 35 million, 40 million, it's hard to manage, to be truthful, remotely. We've been doing it from Danville area for the last 14 years. So now we are finding, where can we spend our time and energy to really be beneficial, so that we could manage the managers. It's called managing the managers, is the terminology where you interview a lot of property management companies. You find the ones that really have the right values system, honesty, transparency, and everything. Then you give them the contract, right? But you can fire them within 30 days or 60 days, right? You write it in the contract. You give them very limited space into what they can bill for capex, what they can bill, and you need to get approvals from you as the owner. You are the owner. So the problem I find many times is people go ahead and give everything to the property management companies, and then they say, oh, they suck and this and that, and they ripped us off, things like. But it's our fault, I say. You need to meet with them every week and look at all the books and everything. They need to present to you with the whole statistics, like we call it Monday morning report, MMR, Monday morning report, delinquencies, acceptance, what is special, what is going on. We have like so many terms, key factors that we go over, right? So essentially, the key thing is in real estate. And I'm so glad you're saying that, that we need to really get out of single family homes, and which we did, thank goodness, and get into multifamily. And that's why, I teach also in my book always, if some of you have not gotten it, please get it, guys. I've got 350 positive reviews now in 1 year. 350 reviews. That means something is in this book. We just crossed over 200 at Amazon in USA, but then 135 in Amazon in India, in Australia. I mean, there are reviews going on in UK and all over the world. People are loving this book. So please go and get that one. And then also the show that I do now, sequel to this one, Apartment Syndication Made Easy podcast from Vinny Chopra. Just go on iTunes and just say Vinny Chopra. You'll come to that and you'll get all the different shows. We got 4 shows now, and the 5th one will be starting soon. Weekly show that you can really, take your business to the next level. Beau, go ahead, bud. Yeah.
So I was just going to, add on that. Like, here's an example. You can go buy Vinny's book on Amazon, buy the hard copy. I think it's like $15-20. Okay. Read through it if you don't know much about multifamily, or even if you do, you're going to learn something. You're going to learn kind of the fundamentals, because if you're looking at to do single family traditional rentals, what are you actually making per door net, right? Like all that work and put that equity down, and you make maybe $300 a door, right?
Yeah.
But maybe you should focus your efforts, and you can start with a small multifamily property. Somebody just sent me a deal, and they're looking at buying right now, and it's 8 units for under $500,000 in Florida, right? So we got to obviously look at like what the debt service coverage ratio is and things. The point is that could be a game changer if it's running right. That might pay him $3,000 a month net or $4,000 a month net, right? So you only need a couple of those to get up to $10,000 net. And usually, a starting point for many investors in their mindset is, geez, I wish I could have $10,000 a month net income coming in passive, right? Through owning. So it's really achievable. The other thing is too, right now, money is so cheap, guys. My buddy just showed me he's got a jumbo loan in California. Well, first of all, I want to say I had to twist his arm to buy this property in Danville, right? he ended up buying. He bought this house for $1.1 million, and I don't know. It's 6 years later, and it's going to appraise for about $1.9 million. Okay, wow. So he just made like $700,000. He bought at the right time. Yeah. He was so conservative, though. I'd say, listen, you can afford it. It's easy. You got a place to live. You're moving from San Francisco, so if he would have not bought that property and stayed a renter, he wouldn't have had the $700,000. And then he sent me the other day. He's got a jumbo loan, which is obviously the pricing for the mortgage is a little bit higher on jumbo money. Mm-hmm. He can lock in, pull out $400,000 in cash at a 30-year fix at 2.65. Wow. So he says, I told him yesterday, I said, you should be doing this, lock in the money. There's never going to be a better time to lock in cheap money. You should take that $400,000, and when there's a little bit of blood on the streets or there's an opportunity that presents himself, you can make that money work for you and expand. Like, because he's not he likes real estate, but he hasn't really dove into it yet, other than dumb luck buying a house at the right time, where he can then take that $400,000 and make that money work for him. So right now, with money being given away, basically, there's lots of opportunity, and just expect there's going to be some kind of turbulence in the air for the next 12 to 24 months, and then but you're locking in long term, and you're buying for cash flow. You're buying something that's cash flowing, so you can weather the storm. People lost in 2008 and 2009 because they were over leveraged and they didn't own cash flowing assets. If you own cash flowing assets, no matter what the property value does on paper, it doesn't matter. So that's the mindset you should have for the next 5 years, is that if the debt service coverage ratio is good, you should be buying, because there's going to be opportunities.
So true, Beau. What you're just saying. I mean, I was interviewing several, my guests yesterday, right? I mean, this is the right time to refinance, guys. I mean, if you have dead money sitting in your home, again, don't buy a car. Don't get a Rolls Royce or BM or this, or go on vacation. Nobody can go on vacation anyway, with the COVID and all that. But get that money out at a low interest rate. Where can you get for 2 point? Agree about multifamily versus single family. You bet, Jennifer. That is the key. That has been just given so much freedom to my family, myself. And it's like, my goal in my life is our investors are gold. They are getting so much great returns, anywhere from 16 to 40% per year. It's ridiculous. Then the second thing is our, the property community managers and everybody, they are gold because they're representing Monil, right? Our vendors are gold. Hold on. We are giving thousands of vendors jobs, their families, their employees and everything. And then our families are at the fourth level, and then charities and all and things. When you make money, you want to give it also, paying back, right? So essentially, you're right. I think the scaling is so easy in multifamily, Bo, and I hope that people will get the refinancing done, take the money out. That's how I started my business. One property I bought, I think I mentioned that a few times, $6,500 in Modesto, California. It became 315,000. I took out 270,000 at 3.9%. Then I went to Arizona, bought single family homes, three of them. Went to Georgia, bought some more. I mean, that's how I started in real estate career. Literally 35, 38 years back, and it all depends. You got to do a mind shift of abundance. That's a huge thing. Second thing I want to share today also, Bo, this morning I interviewed my good friend Jim and Harper from Infinite Banking. They shared with me what percentage did Bank of America make on the money deposit that we get paid. Only 0.1%. Bank of America, I'm just saying it, don't sue me, guys. These are just the numbers, that I was shared with. 2,600% on the money. Banks are making overall 26, or maybe let's just even say 2,000% on the money. So it's the biggest, racket out there. I mean, the banking where you put money in the account, you get paid only 0.15 or 0.2% or 2%, but they are making 20 times. That's why they are in the banking. So Infinite Bank, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, just think about it. They can take your depository, everybody's depository, and they can borrow against it like 100 times, right?
My
Just think
God.
about that. And then they lend you money, or they pay you interest for your depository at like, point zeros, whatever, right? Basically, they give you nothing, and they're making a huge upside. And then
Yeah.
you go to them and borrow, for a mortgage, and they charge you 4 or 5%, and their cost of funds is nothing, and they can leverage it, and they can leverage all your depository. So the principle of infinite banking really is smart, where you become your own bank, you finance your own cars instead of paying
Yes.
4 or 5%. The other thing you could do, if you have insurance policies, you can borrow against your insurance policies at very low interest, and
Yes.
then you could take that and then invest somewhere else. Like if you do have a policy, so these are all things you need to know. You need to know about self-directed IRAs. You need to know about insurance policies that you may have that you can borrow against, because
Mhm.
that's your ability to borrow and leverage. You also need to, when you're talking to somebody, they could have $500,000 sitting making no money or no returns. It's actually
Exactly.
costing them money with inflation, and they could be your financing partner. If I know Vinny has an IRA and it's sitting idle, he
Yeah.
wants to make that money work for him. So what, hey Vinny, I'm buying this small multifamily property. Will you be an equity partner in the deal, right? Because I might not. It's maybe too small to do a syndication, but I can get a JV partner. So
Totally.
so it's very simple, right? And so you don't have to start with a 100-unit building, but everything is baby steps, right? Like when you go to the gym for the first time for 5 years, and this is your first workout, you're going to do like one exercise, and you're going to be sore for the next week. Well, now I go in there for 2 hours straight, and I don't get sore, right? Because I'm getting used. I'm making these improvements every single day, and that's what you do with real estate. You got to improve every day by learning strategies, right? There's all these strategies, and so we, meaning Vinny and I, between what he does on all of his shows with my investor club, we don't get paid for doing this. We do this because we love it, because we're passionate about helping
So
others. I
yeah.
do it because I get to be around Vinny, and I always feel, a lot of encouragement. And I also look at Vinny as a guy that, he's a guy that's a normal guy that came to America with $7 in his pocket, and now he's got millions of dollars, right? So what did he do right that I can learn from? And that's, we're basically untapping that between our conversations, the guests we bring in. We brought Travis last week, who,
Yes.
started with nothing, and he buys and sells, hundreds of homes a year. We
Yes.
bring in high level guys and girls that are doing really cool stuff. We bring in, people that talk about self directed IRAs. We do all these things, and we don't do it for our own health. We do it to share, to give back, and yes, there's opportunities. If you got money lying around and you want to learn about investing as a limited partner, there's opportunities there. So these are things that we want to open your mind to, whether it's with Vinny or somebody else. Things to look at in a syndication, things to invest in, because as you're building your portfolio that you own, if you have discretionary retirement funds or whatever, it might be advantageous to make that money work for you in an LP. And syndication is when there's an operator, like Vinny is an operator, right? He's the sponsor. He signs for the loans. He finds the deals. He underwrites the deals, but he brings those opportunities to other people. Most of them are accredited investors. They have a net worth over $1 million, excluding their house, so forth, or they make $250,000 a year. Those type of investors typically don't have the time to go out and find the deals, and they invest in these deals as what we call a LP, which is a limited partner. So there's lots of ways to invest. You don't have to be 100% active. For if you're a smaller investor, you could find a local person that's flipping houses, and you can invest as a joint venture partner. There's many, many ways to invest, and this show is designed to just share these concepts with you, and then take action. Go get Vinny's book, join the podcast, ask questions, invite others. Get involved. When we're back to doing live events, go to live events when you can. I've been to so many different real estate live events, and now I go more for the networking than maybe
Yeah.
learning, but I always still to this day will learn something new, a new technique. And there's always improvements, right? You're going to learn cutting edge strategies. There's always evolutions in the way you finance deals, the way you bring in capital into deals. And so that's what's exciting about real estate. And the more you understand, and the more not just understanding, but taking action is the part to actually get this stuff going.
I'm so glad you said that, Bo, because the thing is, a lot of us, human nature, and please don't feel that you are alone in that. Not at all. We are procrastinators at heart. Every human being is a procrastinator, But the biggest thing is you want to do one thing. You want to do one thing, like the book says, it came out, and also get focused. Do one thing, focus, analyze, but don't overanalyze, because a lot of time people do overanalysis to paralysis, I call it, right? They never move forward. They never do, move the needle, I say. You got to just hunker down, see where you are at, how are your investments, if they have, what they are bringing to you. Are they moving? The velocity is there. Is the momentum there? Is the cash flow there? If you want to really get away from the W2 job, what will that bring to you? Freedom, abundance, all those things. But how to get there is what Beau is talking about. You got to invest money into not liabilities, like our good friend, Robert Kiyosaki, he says, right? W2 job is something. Working for somebody is one thing, but you got to have another side hustle, which can bring cash flows. And you can definitely make that, like I bought a duplex, then 14plex. Oh, you know that 14plex for $180,000. And now we are buying $50 million deals, with pooling of the money together legally through SEC ruling, where our investors are not debt partners, but equity partners. What's the difference between the two? Debt partner is when they just give you the money, legally, and then they are getting 7% interest or 8% or 10%. Equity partner is they are getting a cash flow, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12% per year. But when we sell the property, after renovation, after adding value, after increasing the NOI, net operating income, then when we sell it and we made 5 million, 10 million, whatever, we share that profits with the investors. So that's called equity gain. long-term equity gain. So that's what I hope everybody listening, they should be looking at always becoming a equity partner rather than just a debt partner. And the other part is the taxation. Real estate has the best tax laws in this country, where you can take depreciation, a paper loss, every year. Even the property is making ton of money, millions of dollars, but the paper loss with cost segregation and bonus depreciation and all those things, it can go into negative. Hold on. Our K1s we give to investors, they showed you made 40,000 or 30,000 distributions, but in the box 2, in the K1 form for the IRS, it says minus 61,000. What? It means the LLC made loss because of depreciation, and then the investors got paid on this side, dividends or cash flow. So it's a win-win-win-win situation. Some of our 500,000 investors got minus 361,000, Bo. Minus 361,000, So all those things are available. And also Bo mentioned about self-directed retirement plans. That's huge. If you don't know about it, just reach out to Beau, my good buddy. He'll share with you all. Text Beau at 925-852-8261 or text me, my team, 925-766-3518. Love to get in touch with you and make it really, really easy. We are not CPAs, we are not attorneys, but we'll direct you and we'll share the concept with you, which can really make a difference.
Yeah, we just actually had a couple episodes ago, we had a guest that works for a custodian. So that we have videos of that too that you can find, and we'll share with you if you're interested in just learning the basics of that. Because
Sure.
at the end of the day, it's about having these tools in your tool belt. So when a deal arises, you know how to figure out and close on it. Maybe that's finding a partner, maybe it's finding somebody with retirement funds so it can help you close, because we all start someplace. We all don't have millions of dollars in our bank accounts, or we
Sure.
probably wouldn't really need to invest our money, right? Or so that's all available to you. I know we're coming on the hour here. I just want to
Yes.
go over some other emerging trends are robotics, right? Things are going to be, a lot of things are going to be that used to be kind of the entry level jobs are going to be taken from, there's going to be machines that do that stuff now. There's going to be the internet, obviously internet machines that are happening, right? So
Oh
everything
my gosh, 5G. Look at what's
yeah,
happening with 5G now. Holy cow.
3D printing, right? They can actually print they can print houses from these 3D printing machines. It's amazing what's going to happen. So, the way things are built are going to be built differently. Flatter organizations, things are going to be more streamlined. You're going to have a lot more things that are with all these tools that are you can use Salesforce, you can use Asana, you can all these things, which is going to kind of probably, you're not going to need as many layers of management in these organizations. It's going to be a lot more streamlined. Nanotechnology, mobile apps, which are redefining service industries. You're having to, the other thing, mobile payments, that's all emerging, like all different trends in mobile payments. Reinventing entertainment, especially now with COVID. The way we go to events, and there's going to be a lot more streaming live virtual conferences and more interaction online.
Yeah.
The fall and rise of social media. Newspapers will be gone. It's all going to be online. Data rights become an issue. People are now learning to it's becoming a DIY economy. I think there's going to be more people that go into it, like infinite banking and things like that, right? They're going to start figuring out how to maximize what they already have. Education is going to be online, right? Like things are
Yeah.
changing. Like what's going to happen with the standard
Very
universities?
cheap. Oh my gosh. Yes.
There's
Yes.
going to be a huge trend. So even though we're going to go through a 2-year, period of hardship, potentially, some challenges, I think, the reskilling of the workforce, right? People are going to be evolving. I think we're going to go into some kind of economic boom from what's happening right now. That's actually going to drive the economy back up. So, older workers that can't retire, they're re-entering the workforce. They're going to have to reskill themselves, because a lot of people, unfortunately, are not going to be able to retire. They're going to be working, and so their options are work as a greeter at Walmart or rekey themselves to find something they can do to make a living. So there's a lot of shifts that are happening, and so it's going to be interesting to kind of see how it all plays out. But the one thing is people need a place to live, right? So if people need a roof over their head, and that's the problem we solve as real estate investors is putting out a nice product, whether it's a single family home, an apartment complex, assisted living facility, whether it's and helping people that have businesses or need a place to live. And that's essentially what we do, is to find properties we can acquire that have, a margin in between what the rent is and what the payments are on the property. And that's how we make a living. And that's
true.
pretty kind of cut and dry, but enjoyed this session. And I know we got another
and if you
podcast.
like them, please comment below and also share these, because we are at a StreamYard, broadcasted 5 or 6 or 7 channels. You could share it. Just click the share button, send it to your friend, to your relatives who could really benefit. Comment, like us, and give us good reviews so that we can bring great guests. If you would like us to bring some great authorities, personalities on our show, please let us know. And we really appreciate the time you spend with us every Friday, 9:30 to about 10:30 or so, right there. And also we'll be broadcasting the whole thing in podcast so that you could even take it with you while you're driving or on the iTunes and things like that. Right, Beau?
Yep, exactly. Or on the treadmill or every day, right?
Exactly. Yep. So live a full life. Guys, thank you for following us. Again, this is Vinny and Beau, your co-hosts, right there, Vinny and Beau Show, which we come live. We love this 1 hour together, and I hope you do too.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Investor Financing Podcast. For show notes and useful resources, please visit investorfinancingpodcast.com. For questions or comments, email info@investorfinancingpodcast.com. If you enjoy our show, please share it with your network. Until next time.